Hi, and welcome back to the Skeptic Fox channel. So, Bearing recently released a video about some fucked up program to cure people of their toxic whiteness from the website Everyday Feminism. In the description of his video, he provided a PDF file that explains what this program entails. So I thought I'd have a look at it to see how much of a laugh I could get from it. And Jesus Christ, I wasn't disappointed. I'm gonna skip the first bit as Bearing's already covered it in his video, so I'm gonna skip straight to the module outlines. So module 1 is a framework on how white supremacy emotionally harms white people. It reads: while white supremacy obviously benefits white people in many social and material ways, it's actually far more emotionally harmful for them than we often realise. Since our society struggles to acknowledge the pain of people of colour from racism, it's understandable that we don't for white people either. So if society doesn't acknowledge the pain of people of colour or white people, so society is basically just a cunt to everyone, doesn't that mean we're equal and we don't live in a white supremacist society? However, given how common it is for white people to express disproportionate amount of anger and denial at the mere mention of them doing something racist, there's clearly some pain they're running away from. Jesus Christ, it's almost as like if you accuse someone of doing something terrible when they haven't done anything, they're gonna get defensive about it. Who fucking knew? The rest of this module outline uses some historical examples and oversimplifies it, but I'm too fucking lazy to go into that. We'd be here all day. Module 2 is the cyclical journey of healing from privilege. Why would you need to heal from privilege? Okay. White privilege disconnects white people from the reality of racism, so they won't notice it happening with them and all around them, creating the need for white people to proactively reconnect themselves to this reality in order to address it. But with university professors saying white genocide was a good thing, with MTV's latest "fuck you white people" video and all the lovely tweets basically wishing all white people died, I don't think racism that's hard to find, to be honest. However, this is often a painful and disturbing process because it requires them to acknowledge that they've been kept ignorant of the realities of racism whilst at the same time personally benefiting from it. Yes, this white supremacist society that we live in is really helping these homeless white people. Look at them benefit from white supremacy. The bastards don't know how lucky they've got it. I mean, I know they're homeless, but they could be being oppressed like this guy. Or this guy. Or this guy. To be fully in touch with racism is to feel the pain of it and to be moved by it to take action to alleviate it. As white people become more racially conscious, it opens them up to pain they hadn't even realised was there before. This sounds an awful lot like indoctrination. Module 3. The compassionate activism approach. Because feminism and activism always go so well together. Without some way of holding on to these many layers of pain, it is too easy and understandable for white people to revert back to being unconscious and disconnected. However, just because they were rejected our own pain doesn't mean it goes away. Well, that's certainly true. The majority of women have rejected feminism and that still won't fucking die. Instead, that pain grows in the background, unconsciously driving our reactions of fear and anger in ways that is not aligned with our values. This is why so many well-intentioned white people react defensively when they get called out for racism and refuse to engage in that conversation. Perhaps the reason they refuse to engage in that conversation is because the only way you're willing to have that conversation is that if they admit they're racist, you absolute fucktards. Compassionate activism holds the space for people to get in touch with their pain in a affirming, humanizing way so they can know what to heal. Because once we care for our pain, we begin to hold of ourselves, including the parts we had been rejecting. From this place, a wholeness, we're able to move with greater presence and respond to situations from our values of love and justice. Fuck me, this is starting to sound like some really fucked up cult shit. Due to their unconscious conditioning by white supremacy, many white people, even when they understand racism is wrong, don't realise how often they associate white culture and experiences with what's normal and good. What the fuck does white culture even mean? They never fucking explain this. It's just, oh, white culture, that's bad because racism. This often leads to them to struggle with acknowledging that their experience may not actually be the norm. Considering this website mainly focuses on stuff from America, Canada and Britain, and these are majority white countries, then surely to God, with whatever they fucking mean by white culture, that would be the norm. Just like a majority black country, black culture would be the fucking norm. If that's even a fucking thing, white culture and black culture. Learning to recognise toxic whiteness and engage with it can ground white people in what is actually happening rather than filtering the world through their lies of white supremacy. What lies? Is this PDF going to explain any of these fucking statements? Let alone fucking prove them. Module 5. The second practice of humble curiosity and gentle mindfulness. When we hurt someone unintentionally, we generally feel pain at realising that. However, in order to avoid the feeling that pain, we often tend to engage in a lot of denial and judgment in order to shift the focus away from the original harm we've caused. Well, as Stephen Fry once said, you're offended by that? Well, so fucking what? That's why leaning in with humble curiosity, embracing the idea that maybe we don't know everything and that there's more to understand, opens us up to explore what's happening with us without judgment, shaming or blaming ourselves or others. With this curiosity, we are able to stay with our feelings until we get to the core pain at play. But that's fucking rich coming from the movement, which is famous for shaming and blaming other people for their problems. This helps shift well-intentioned white people away from denying that they're expressing racism and towards exploring what implicant biases may have surfaced in them. That way, their energy can be channeled into acting in solidarity with people of colour rather than against them. Again, are you gonna prove that white people are unintentionally racist, or we're just meant to take your word for it? Module 6. The third practice of compassionate self-accountability and radical education. Once we're aware of the pain we're experiencing, we can take responsibility for the fact that we have not been attending to it before. This involves acknowledging what you've done, how it contributed to systematic racism, the impact that both realizing and not realizing that we had on you, and what you can do to make amends. These modules just seem to be repeating themselves at this point. It almost reminds me of a quote I learnt from history, but something about repeating something and people believe it. I can't remember who said it though. The rest of the modules basically follow the same pattern of white people are racist, you've been ignoring responsibility for this, and now you should start taking responsibility for this. End piece. So I know the question on your minds right now, why would everyday feminism be offering such a great service for free? Well, it's not free, but it only costs you $100. So I would sign up quick if you want to cure yourself of your racism. So I had a look at their frequently asked questions, and although most of it is just shamelessly advertising their healing for marginalisation, there was one question I thought it'd be worth commenting on. Are you saying that white people are inherently toxic? What do you mean by toxic whiteness? Similar to toxic masculinity, toxic whiteness is something that was created by white supremacy and done to white people. Toxic whiteness is not inherent to white people. However, white people are unconsciously conditioned to perpetrate and to be complicit with white supremacy while not even realizing it. And while white people materially and socially benefit from racism, they are emotionally harmed by it, which is rarely discussed and therefore makes it harder for white people to realize how they're being manipulated by systematic racism. That's why it's important for white people to free themselves from this toxic whiteness in order to begin developing an anti-racist white identity. I particularly love the part where it says manipulated by systematic racism, as if a social construct has its own conscience and has its own goals. I mean, the whole thing's fucking retarded. Also, have you noticed how not once through this entire PDF file have they stated what benefits white people get for being white? If I didn't know any better, I would say they're talking out their arse, but this is feminism. They wouldn't do that. What's that I hear you ask? Who are the brilliant minds behind this? Well, this woman here, Sandra Kim, lead indoctrinator for everyday feminism, and her white lapdog, Dara Silverman, support trainee and racial justice organizer. I want to finish off by talking about a quote that's underneath the last dipshit. She says, "Healing from toxic whiteness has helped me feel more optimistic about building healthy, supportive relationship with other white people invested in anti-racism work. After I took the online workshop to this program, I shared it with every white person who I knew had an interest in anti-racism work. This program is by far the best module of combining compassion with activism to address the difficult feelings that arise with privilege. It gives me so much hope to see all of the wisdom gathered in this course." Wisdom gathered in this course. Wisdom gathered in this course through its participants. So there's the number one flaw in this whole logic behind this white supremacist bullshit thing. It presumes that all white experiences are exactly the fucking same. Well, they're not. I mean, I'm thinking that it's just fucking retarded. In fact, the whole experience that every different white person has is so varied that it sort of makes this whole idea of white culture fucking redundant. I'm the Skeptic Fucks, and thanks for watching.